Welcome back to the Cricket Matters podcast. Today's topic is what is a good batting average in club cricket? And first of all, let me apologise. I've had some slight technical difficulties this morning. My mic stand has fallen to pieces. So I will be holding my mic for the entirety of this podcast. Let's hope it doesn't mess things up. James, what's your batting average
this year?
Do you know?
All time?
Well, whatever, this year and all time. Any idea?
Good question. I think I should know this. I think it's 35. I think across the board. It was 40. I think going into the weekend, but then I literally had 2 low scores on the weekend, 2 on the weekend, and down. So I think it's gone down to 35. So you put me on the spot there. I didn't even check that.
Well, we're doing a podcast about batting averages, so I thought it might be important.
Yeah, exactly. It is. That's a very good point, actually. I take that. But yeah, no, this is stemmed from a conversation on Saturday I've had with a few players, and a few players were moaning about having a bit of bad luck. Yeah, a few players were moaning about they wish they could play it. They should be playing at a higher level because they find batting against better bowling helps them perform better. And I just listened intently. I didn't really pass any comment or judgment. But unfortunately in cricket, the stats don't lie, and the stats don't lie over time. So it led me to the question of what's a good batting average in club cricket? So what do the stats show? And there is a blog that goes with this, I think, which I highly recommend everyone going back to cricketmatters.com onto the blog to find it, because I've put all these tables together to show what the 10 greatest run scorers of all time in Test cricket, ODI cricket and T20 cricket have scored and what their averages are, right? But there's also a few other metrics I think you should learn about. And then based on some of the top 10 Premier League club levels in the UK, I've taken the stats from there, used some fancy maths and algorithm basis along with ChatGPT to help me analyze and correlate some of the data, and that provided a really good framework to think about what constitutes good form, bad form, and what is a good batting average in club cricket. So we kind of dive into this. But I think the key thing is everyone always remembers their good score, but they don't remember sometimes the bad scores in between. So, and in cricket, it's a game of percentages. We have to embrace the inevitable. We are always going to get out 90 to 99% of the time. Okay? And shout out to Gio Calusi for this, who kind of brought me around to this idea of the fearless mindset and how it's inevitable. We're always going to get out, and the greats always get out an X number of times per 10 innings. So I've kind of taken his work and taken on a little bit further in kind of our style for performance analysis. So yeah, it's interesting. And again, these conversations, it's halfway through the season in the UK for most people right now. And it's a stage where you've got enough innings to make a better informed judgment about who's playing well, who's not playing well, and if people need to do something about it, because it's about 10 innings, okay? We're at that halfway stage, about 10 innings in a season where most batters have had a chance to play at the league club level, okay? So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go into this. Where's my screen share? Share screen. Let's go to here, if it allows me to do it. See, share screen. Right, here we go. Allow.
We'll get there in the end.
We'll get eventually. Here we go. Can you see that, Josh?
There we go. Yep.
So obviously this is the blog, but I want to go down to, well, let's look at the very, very best, right? The very, very best players, and let's look at test players, right? And the top 10 test batters of all times. Yep. Now, I've looked at the number of innings they've had, number of runs they've scored, and it's all based on number of runs, okay? You could have looked at it a different way and looking at the best players who've X number of innings who've averaged over 50, for example, but I've gone for just total runs to make it simpler. You can see their average, but what I'm looking at is how many 50s do they score per 10 innings, and how many hundreds do they score per 10 innings, and what their percentage innings of 50 plus is, okay? If you can see this in the table here. Yeah. Now, obviously, Sachin Tendulkar is currently the leading run scorer of all time. Then Ricky Ponting, Jack Harris, Rahul Dravid, and Joe Root, who's still playing, still active, is fast approaching. I think by the end of this summer, he will be taking over the second spot, closing in on Sachin Tendulkar. Now,
Yeah.
let's take Sachin at
How
the
many?
very top.
Sorry, just as the non-cricketing person here, as everyone knows, how many years has Joe Root got left? Do you think?
Oh,
Could
at
he
the
get to
moment,
the top?
Years. 5 years, 100%.
Years.
Literally 100%. Yeah, he's got many years left. He's looking as fresh as ever, and he's playing as beautifully as ever. And it's a thing of joy to watch him batting, really. I think that's the best way to put it. So long may he continue, and well into his later years. So
Absolutely.
if we look at that now, so though, obviously Joe Root's going to stand out, and we'll come to the Joe Root in a second now. But let's look at Sachin Tendulkar. 329 innings, 15,921 runs, and an average of 53.78. That is fantastic. We always just think about the averages, and averages do tell you a lot about players. But when it comes to club cricket and overall stats and how they perform, well, how many times does Sachin Tendulkar score 50? Right? How often does he do it? Right? Because you tend to remember all his good innings, you forget about the bad innings. When you look at this, he literally only scores a 50 or more every 3.62 innings per 10 innings, right? That's 3 to 4 times every 10 times he goes and bats. That because 50 plus constitutes success. And from those 50 plus, he makes every 10 innings 1.55 centuries. Okay? Interesting. So he's literally looking 1.5 centuries, or 1 to 2 centuries every 10 innings, and he's hitting 50 or more every 3 to 4 innings, okay? Which means it's a percentage conversion of 36%. Everyone would probably think
over 50, is that?
to get over 50, which constitutes success. Now, in batting. Now, everyone would probably think, and I was guilty of this until Gio started showing this and highlighting this to me, that you'd probably get 6 or 7 times out of 10, but it's not. The stats don't lie. But what's interesting, again, ignore Joe Root. If you look across the board from Ricky Ponting all the way down to Alan Border, 36%, 35%, 36%, 34%, 30%, 38%. Kumar Sangakkara has a high percentage conversion there. 35%, 34%, 34%. It's pretty
all mid
consistent.
30%.
Mid 30%, except for Joe Root.
Yeah, 49.8.
Joe Root is incredible when we look at this. He's still going. He's averaging 50, which is slightly lower than Sachin Tendulkar, but his 50 plus per 10 innings is 4.98 currently.
Wow.
Right? 100 per innings, 1.76. His percentage of innings 50 plus is approximately 49.8%. That is incredible, right?
So he pretty much gets a 50 almost every single innings.
Almost, yeah. 50% of the time, every time.
50% of the time is right every time. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
right.
that's incredible. To go in and almost know that Joe Root's going to guarantee you 50.
In Test cricket. It's incredible. Yeah. It is unheard of. It is a complete outlier on this whole aspect. It's mental, right? So these are the best Test batters of all time. So let's scroll down and look at the ODI cricket batting averages, right? Again, leading top scorers of all time, Sachin's at the top, right? We've got Kohli, who's just recently retired, in the middle here as well. Okay, so we've got top 10 and Rohit Sharma, who's still playing, down at number 10, very down at the bottom. So, averages are slightly different. So again, taking Sachin, who's at the very top, he scored 18,426 runs, an average of 44. 50 plus per 10 innings, 3.21. Okay? Hundreds per 10 innings, 1.08. Percentage of innings 50 plus, 32%. Okay? Now, go to Kumar Sangakkara. Average of 41, 50 plus, 3.11. Hundreds per 10 innings, 0.66. 50 plus innings percentage, 31%. I'll come back to Virat Kohli in a second because he's another outlier, right? But I can go down. Average of 42, Ricky Ponting. 50 plus per 10 innings, 3.23. So 3 times, right? Roughly out of 10, he gets 50. 0.82 times, he gets 100. Right? So about once every 10 innings. Conversion rate 32.3%. Bit lower for Jai Surya and Jayawardene, 22.9%. But let's go back to Virat Kohli and these stats. 14,181 runs, average of 57 in one-day cricket, 50 plus per 10 innings, 4.23, hundreds per 10 innings, 1.77, percentage of innings 50 plus, 42.3%. Another massive outlier. Yeah. So when I did these stats and these numbers, I looked at these and went, holy crap, Virat Kohli and Joe Root are technically on a different planet.
Yeah.
In some respect. For the number of innings, number of runs, you've got to like compare them. So, now, these are all great players on this list, but it starts to build a picture, right, of what's going on. Josh, as a non-cricketer, what do you make of this when you start to read this?
You would have sort of expected the 50 pluses for the greatest batsman of all time to be higher, wouldn't you?
Yep.
But as you say, Kohli and Joe Root, they massively stand out. I mean, 1.700s per 10 innings. That's amazing.
Yep. Exactly. And he gets 4 50s every 10 innings, technically, and based on his numbers and his stats, which is everyone else is 3, some are 2s, and some of the leading scorers of all time, right?
Yeah.
Compared to all this here now. But this is just like, number of runs ever in ODI cricket, okay? This is so we could look at something a bit different with averages of 50 plus or different averages, etc. But this is what we're seeing here. Now, T20 is a little bit different, right? We've got Rohit Sharma at the top. He's averaging 32. 50 plus per 10 innings is 2.45. 24.5% is his 50 plus conversion rate. Okay, Babar Azam, again, averaging 39. 3.22 50 per 10 innings, 0.25. So again, it changes as you come down from Test cricket to ODI cricket, here. Because again, I won't go through all these numbers here, but you can look at this on the website and look at the graphs here. But we're starting to build a picture. The picture is that Test cricketers, 50 plus, most of them at the top of their game, the best of all time. ODI is 40 plus, the greatest run scorers of all time. But they're converting approximately 3 times per 10 innings, right?
Yep.
3 times per 10 innings. And they're getting at least 100 every 10 innings out of that too. That's not much. That's a failure rate of like 70% most of the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you think then club cricketers are judging themselves too harshly when you look at these numbers?
Well, kind of, but also it gives you an idea of everything's relative.
Relative.
So these are the best players at the very highest level playing against the best bowlers, right? Everyone finds a level in cricket. That's why, like, take South Wales as an example. You've got Premier League Division 1, Division 2. Then you've got 14 divisions below it, right?
I might join the 14th division at the bottom.
Exactly, right? That's exactly the perfect starting point for you. So if you were to join Division 14, Josh, in South East Wales cricket, right? You'd be looking as a batter trying to aim for some of these numbers at that level.
Yeah.
And then you progress until you get to the point. So if we look at, if I scroll down to club, the club cricketers tend to get it wrong, right? Again, I'll use some of the phrases I've heard.
In what sense?
They see a score as a justification for them to be picked for maybe a higher team, the first team, for example, right? But it shouldn't be judged on one score. It should be judged over at least 10 innings.
Right.
You with me?
Yeah.
So again, these are some of the quotes I've heard recently. I made 60 last month. I should be in the first now. I got a good nut 3 games in a row. It's not my fault. I just need a bit of luck. Quote. Right? Yeah. Quote. These are exactly the quotes I think. This is just like them hanging on to their good scores. But what they don't realise is, well, what's really happening? So again, on the blog, I talk about, let's say you had one score of 74, 4 scores in the 20s, 8 single digits, 2 not outs at 12 and 15. Most people will cling on to that 74 and convince themselves they're in form.
Yeah.
But a coach, a selector, a captain, or a serious athlete sees the pattern. You're not converting. You're inconsistent. You're unreliable. That is the harsh reality, right? Yeah. So you've got to look at your stats over a period of time. And I'd say league cricket is the best way to judge yourself by. Okay? That is the best way to judge yourself by. Doesn't mean you're not talented, but it means there's something not here, not working, right? We just need to acknowledge it. So what do good batting averages look like in club cricket? Well, this is from the stats, right? This is from literally looking at a multitude of Premier League levels across the UK and pulling it together and analysing it here. So, in club cricket, if you're an opening batsman or batter, we're looking at an average of 35 to 45 plus as a baseline. 50 plus scores per 10 innings, 2.8 to 3.5. Hundreds per 10 innings,
quite high.
0.8 to 1.2. And total 50 plus scores in 18 innings, because roughly you can get 18 innings in a season, right, is 5 to 6. Okay?
All right.
It's harder. Opening the batting is harder. You're facing a new ball. You have to absorb pressure. The ball's moving around much more laterally. It's a harder place to bat. That's our job. Is to protect the middle orders so they're the engine room who can kick on and do the work that we need them to do. Again, now we look at number 3 to 5, 40 to 50 plus. 50 plus scores per 10 innings, 3 to 4. And 100 per 10 innings, 1 to 1.8. Total 50 plus scores, 6 to 7 in the course of a season. Okay? Gets a bit lower, 6 to 8 and 9 to 11. Again, 6 to 8, looking at 25 to 35 plus. 9 to 11, 5 to 15 plus is a bonus. But you can see on the table, and what we're showing here now is, these aren't guesses. These are patterns pulled from real top league players and adjusted for your ambition and where you should consider yourself to be.
Yeah.
In a sense. So for all the players out there, all the batters out there who are interested and they feel they're unlucky, right? They should have a chance in the first. Go back to your stats. Do your stats match up with you? Right? As a starting point.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then you've got two questions. One, if you could be a massive outlier, guess what? You could be averaging 80 plus, right? And scoring 100 every 4 games. Well, that means you're not facing the right level of cricket for your ability, right? It means you're a big fish in a small pond. That's the best way to put it. However, if you're really struggling, maybe it's time to drop down and learn some things or make some changes, right? That's a really important aspect to consider. So when we're looking at this, and I'm helping judge batters, so when people are coming to us for performance analysis, and they're asking me for my advice, I'm looking at play cricket now, and I'm looking at some of these stats. I want to see how many hundreds they scored. I want to see how many 50s they scored, right? What are they converting? What are they averaging? Are they averaging 20 to 30, but not scored a 50, and they're opening batsman and opening or top 5 player?
Yeah.
Well, that's not converting. So that leaves pressure situations to make decisions about who's coming in, who shouldn't be coming in.
You've got to get to those 50s, haven't you?
That's what constitutes good performance in the team, right? And this is what we're looking for from the openers. Again, you will have a good ball when you're batting. It's inevitable, right? The odds are against you, right? It's like, I feel like that's a quote from Hunger Games coming on. It's like, the odds are always in your favour. No, they're not, right? They're really not. I got out for 2 on Saturday. I hit a ball, hit the top of off stump, and it was ridiculous. It was a good ball, and they walked off laughing, because you have to laugh, right? Because it was such a good ball. It was just like, when the umpire goes, ooh, and the keeper behind is laughing as well. Like it's just one of those things. You have to laugh at it because it's going to happen. But look over the course of 10 innings. Look over the course of a season. That's where you can start to really understand who's playing well, who's playing not. Because a single knock of 60 here with a series of low scores, well, it was your day. Maybe you got a bit lucky. But if you want to improve, you've got to take these numbers and start to understand them, because this will make you a better cricketer, and maybe take responsibility for your own batting. How does that sound?
So we need to you need to scrub up on exactly what your average is. We need to find out, don't we?
Do you know what, should we go into it now? Should we do it live?
Can you find out that quickly without us all twiddling our
if you're doing an anecdote in the meantime, Cardiff.playcricket.com.
An anecdote. I've not particularly got a cricket anecdote apart from watch the highlights of England India.
There you go.
When they got 371, was it 371 chase? I thought it was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, loved it.
For those live on here, for all games played this year, I'm averaging 35 opening the batting, 35.83 to be precise.
Oh, look at him! He's just in there. He's just in the target average.
The averages, I've hit 100. I've hit 150. I'm annoyed because I had 245s as well in this thing, so it's agonisingly close. I could have hit it now, but I'm in that kind of bracket there. So 430 runs. So it's an okay season for me so far. It's not great.
Well, you're on the average. You're just a bit low on your 50s, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what I need to do. But yeah, no, it's like I said, it's just a game of cricket. Of cricket. There you go. But that's me. My averages for Cardiff this year, live on it.
So for all those club cricketers listening in, what would be the takeaway from this episode?
Definitely good question. don't just consider batting average. Consider your 50+ scores over 10 innings. How many have you scored? How many have you converted? That is the most important thing, in my personal opinion, because a batting average could mean loads of 12 not outs, right? If you get like loads of, if you're basically not out the whole season at batting at number 11, it can be a bit misleading. But if you're top of the order, how many of those runs are you converting to 50s and 100s to help your team win the game? And that's the most important thing, to think differently.
Absolutely. There we go, guys. You've got to check out those and aim for those 50s. That is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. And if you would like our free training plan, then go to cricketmatters.com/train. And remember, our goal is to make you a better cricketer.